Hello everyone, Cup here, and welcome back to some more Mechabellum. I had a match against some War Factory shenanigans, and yeah, let me show you. I'm starting as Heavy Armor Specialist with Mustangs and Marksmen. My opponent is Giant Specialist with Crawlers and Phoenixes. By the way, ever since I mentioned that Mustang starts are kind of terrible, I feel like I've picked a Mustang start pretty much every game or every other game or something. For some reason it still turns out to be the best combination of units and starting SPC a lot of the time, at least for me, for my preferred playstyle. And here it's actually pretty good. Going up against Crawlers and Phoenixes, my start is pretty decent. Opponent probably going to add arc lights, and yes, there are arc lights. By the way, the opponent put the crawlers horizontally behind the tower. I see that quite often now. I think the reason is because a lot of people put a pack of fangs in the front middle to bait the crawlers behind the towers to move towards the middle, and that way they don't split up behind the towers and kind of get clumped up. And if you put them horizontally, they still will split, even if there's a fang in front that attracts all those crawlers. So round one, pretty solid for me, but I had the better start here against my opponent. Skipping. And I'm picking up some Stormcallers to put left and right of the tower. You know it already. I do that quite often. Decent to both deal with the Arclight, but also take out some crawlers, at least with the first barrage. It usually hits quite a few crawlers, depending on the positioning of course, but seems to be working out decently. And here it is, by the way. My opponent is doing what I just talked about. They are putting fangs in the front to attract my crawlers behind the tower. And here you can see why you might want to put the crawlers horizontal behind the tower and not vertical. I haven't gotten used to it. It's only... people only started doing this not that long ago. And yeah, as you can see, all my crawlers did not split and all get attracted towards the middle. And my opponent also put an Arclight behind, so the Arclight can take out all my crawlers pretty quickly. And this way, by the way, on the right side, just now some crawlers came through and actually distracted my marksman. And in general, the engagements were not as favorable because my crawler chaff did not do the chaff things that it was supposed to do, left and right. So this is, yeah, it's very, very strong to put the fangs in the front like that to attract the crawlers. So I also need to get used to putting the crawlers horizontal behind the tower, I think. I'm picking up, or picked up, the Amplifying Core, and I'm getting a Vulcan here. My opponent has a decent amount of chaff, so 3 packs of crawlers and of course the fangs in front. And at the same time, not a ton of damage. And my opponent picked up the Elite Sledgehammer, so they can recruit level 3 Sledgehammers right away. And they gave them the self-repair upgrade. That's kind of spooky. I also don't have the biggest damage for those. Vulcan, though, doing Vulcan things, taking out the chaff pretty quickly. And Stormcallers definitely helping in this scenario as well against the Sledgehammers. Even though level 3 Sledgehammers and with self-repair and everything, of course, they are good against Stormcallers, kind of. Because they repair a lot of HP and the Stormcallers don't deal that much damage to them. But combined with all my other stuff, with the Marksman and also the attack of the Vulcan, it was enough to take those down. So that's why I usually like to have 2 Stormcrawlers like that. They just help out in so many scenarios, just the additional splash damage. Leveling my marksman here because, well, level 3 sledgehammers, I definitely need more damage for those. They are kind of spooky. Putting down a shield on the right side to protect my units from the sledgehammers mainly. And my opponent also overall doesn't have the highest DPS on the board, not the biggest damage, so the shield should hold for a bit. Adding some crawlers in the flank to pull away part of my opponent's army on the left. And I'm putting some fangs in the middle to come in delayed to provide chaff support for my marksman later on. My opponent went for more level 3 sledgehammers on the left side this time. Manipulating the left side definitely was pretty good here. The crawlers were all the way... My opponent's crawlers on the left were all the way in the flank, as well as the 2 phoenixes. That bought me a ton of time. I would have completely gotten run over on the left if I did not do that. And my tower would have fallen, would have gotten destroyed. And with the tower debuff, I might have actually lost this round, but now it's in my favor. So I really think the crawlers in the flank there on the left did quite a lot this turn. Feeling kind of confident at the moment. Because, well, it's round 5 and my opponent is almost dead and I'm at full health. But it can be deceiving. Let's say that. Picking up the shield item, putting it on the fangs. The shield item in general is pretty good, and especially on the fangs. I put them on the mustangs. I said fangs. It's pretty good overall because it, even on lower HP units, it makes sure that they don't get one shot. And yeah, my mustangs could get one shot by the sledgehammers, of course. So with that item, they last for longer. Also against the phoenixes as well. They hold out for double the time, basically. Also put some crawlers in the right flank as well. Same kind of thought to pull away the crawlers and the phoenixes. So I can engage and focus the sledgehammers quicker. Picking up a couple more mustangs on the right, because now with the flank, the crawlers will run towards the flank and then come in from the far right. And the far right is not really protected, or my level 3 marksman on the far right will have issues otherwise with those crawlers. So I decided to put some mustangs there. And my opponent went for a war factory with phoenix spawn. That's scary. I did not expect this at all. And I don't have beam damage, so I don't have steel bolts, I don't have melting points, and I also don't even have something like a fortress or an overlord or something. So I also don't have the highest damage on the board to take this down. My tower falls. My opponent's tower also falls though. But still, the war factory, I'm not really dealing a lot of damage to it. And yeah, phoenixes spawn and spawn and spawn. Luckily, these deal less damage now. So it's only like 1800 damage or something. EMP could be very strong. If my opponent doesn't barrier up here, I could disable the spawn tag on the War Factory, and that would obviously be amazing. Also, disabling the tag on the sledgehammers is really good. No self-repair, so they die quicker. But yeah, now I'm thinking, okay, what do I need here? I'm getting the anti-air upgrade first on the Mustangs for all those Phoenixes. Because if I put down a fortress right now or something, it just gets quickly taken care of by both the War Factory damage but also the Phoenixes that spawn. And I need to make sure I take care of the Phoenixes quickly. And I'm trying to do that with the anti-air upgrade on the Mustangs. And I'm getting a melting point actually. So I'm taking care of the Phoenixes, and then the melting point hopefully can take care of the War Factory. But it actually needs to lock on, and there's a bit of chaff and all those sledgehammers as well might be in the way. My opponent unfortunately smart enough to barrier here, so the War Factory did not get disabled. And also there's another War Factory on the right now. And yeah, my sniper on the right getting run over. Also, those pesky crawlers coming in, distracting my melting point for quite some time. Locked on now, but I don't have any Mustangs left there on the right. And yeah, War Factory actually survives, even though my melting point was locked on, but War Factory damage plus the Phoenix damage was too much. Luckily, level 2 Stormcallers good enough to take down that one for War Factory at least. So I'm not getting completely destroyed. But still, pretty rough here. This is also, by the way, my army gets manipulated so much by this one pack of fangs in the front. All my Mustangs also get attracted towards the middle, and that's why on the right side my one level 3 marksman as well as my melting point kind of didn't get the Mustang support that they needed. So the Mustangs would be really important on the right side to take down the crawlers quickly that come in, but also to deal with the Phoenixes, of course. So yeah, this might be a lesson here. Manipulating your opponent's units' pathing is very strong, or can be very strong. And I added 2 more melting points, and the melting points have the EMP to disable tag. Disabling tag would be very good, obviously, on the War Factory, so they don't spawn anymore, but it also helps with the self-repair sledgehammers as well. And I got the temporary range buff on the tower, kind of important for melting points as well, to have enough range to lock on as quickly as possible. My opponent went for a quantum reassembly on the Phoenixes, so the Phoenixes respawn now after some time. That's scary. I need to take care of them pretty quickly. Melting Point's doing some work though, and finally on the right side, Melting Point locked on and is able to take down the War Factory this time because it locked on earlier. I like to believe that the temporary range buff from the tower made all the difference here. So it could lock on earlier and start to ramp up the damage earlier. And yeah, 3 melting points with a little bit of extra range and the disabling tech was enough here. GG's. I was actually kind of expecting to lose at this point. After the War Factory came out, I was like, okay, I don't have the damage. And then I thought, okay, melting point should be the answer, but it also didn't work. And I wasn't sure if I could bring this home, to be honest. But yeah, it was a good game. War factories still can be kind of scary. They're a big investment, of course, but if you don't deal with chaff quickly enough and then don't have something like melting points that can actually log on to the war factories, they don't really die. They have so much health. And yeah, alright. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.